got a gadget here, and I've never seen one of these in my life, so I'm going to do my best. This is Rozel's story. I'm telling it as Rozel would like to be able to tell her. She wanted to say something at the very beginning, but she's too nervous, and I understand. Rozel's journey. Rozel, my mother and father were born in Jersey in the Channel Islands and evacuated when the Germans arrived and occupied the islands for 5 years. All residents who were not Jersey born had 24 hours to leave or be taken prisoner of war and deported to a prisoner of war camp. Jersey born residents were given the option to remain in Jersey or to leave on the next ferry to the United Kingdom within 24 hours. Mum and Dad decided to leave, and as Dad was a first-class mechanic, went to Southampton and worked on the Spitfire engines. And we all know what the Spitfires did in the war. I was born in Southampton, and when the Channel Islands were liberated by the British forces, we all returned to Jersey. I was married to someone who was very dominant. It wasn't me. He was very dominant and dominated my life until I could not take any more. I don't know how I plucked up the courage to leave. Now, I'm just going to interrupt Rozel's story for a minute, because what I'd like you all to do is, I would like you to clap really loud. Ready? Go. Good. Thank you. This not only gets the blood circulating around the body, it stimulates the brain, and it's in case I don't get a clap at the end. Thanks. My wife always tells me I'm a bit of a joker. 2 years later, I met Brian. Now, this is one of my deliberate mistakes. They spell it brain. And the last time I had a brain scan, they said there was nothing in there. She met Brian in 1994, and we're married. As you'll see by some photographs that are going to be coming up, life was full of fun and still is, but I am not able to enjoy the holidays we have now as much as we did. I keep becoming confused, and I'm not sure where we are, and I keep asking Brian, are we going home now? And where are we? I know my condition is getting worse, and that is putting a great deal of pressure on Brian, who is my carer 24/7 and my best friend. He is also very patient with me. It's important. If you have anybody that you're caring for, be patient. There are times when things are not going well, and I'd say to Brian, you'd be better on your own. And he would say, don't talk such rubbish. When we were married to be together no matter what. Brian keeps telling me he loves me, and I believe that helps to keep me going and also makes me very happy. He makes me laugh when we go out for a meal and we look at each other across a candlelit table, and he would say to me, if we weren't married, would you marry me? And I say to him, I'll think about it. Or another thing I sometimes say, would you like me to stay the night? And she said, I'll tell you in the morning. People ask me if I could make a wish, what would it be? And I always say, I wish for a new brain. These are some of the photographs of our happy times. The country western one, a lot of people, when I used to be a PR in a country western club, and people used to say, excuse me, especially the old guys, they'd say, your wife is showing a suspender there. And I said, she doesn't mind if it gives you a thrill, just enjoy it. And our wedding day, very happy. This is us in the swing, and unfortunately the gentleman on your right-hand side, David, the three of us were like peas in a pod. But unfortunately he died just before we came away. And he had Alzheimer's and Parkinson's. And we saw him slowly after 5 years. So we're on a bonus here because it's 8 years with us. Somewhere, but even I can't remember where this picture was taken, so I must have something up. They said I didn't have a brain. Getting ready for something, but we weren't quite sure what. We were in Egypt and we went in the submarine and they had these big windows, so you're all sitting there looking out the window and they're making all these sounds and the bubbles are coming up outside and they're saying, we are now down at 90 metres, and suddenly a scuba diver passes the window and waves to us. So I think somebody was telling porcupines there. We were in Egypt again, and this is the first time Rozel went swimming, and I said to her, don't leave me, stick by me all the time, because you go on your own. Sure enough, Rozel was gone about half a mile out to sea, and I had to go swimming after her and drag her back. This guy in the middle, he offered me 17 camels for Rozel. He fell in love with it, and I said, I'm sorry, but I couldn't get him on the plane. Another one, we haven't got a clue where this one was taken with us in the chair, and that's not our car. Time for a drink. As you can see, we're both into country western. Now, down in Pustoina, we've got a lot of friends, and that's where we'll be going after the conference. We're going to spend a week with our friends, and then we're going up to Lake Bled for a week. Very therapeutic, just Rozel and I. We were in New Zealand, and we found this sign, Snell Crescent. It doesn't matter where you go, we're there, we're everywhere. Rozel used to be able to handle the boat, and from this little boat we had here, we had a big boat, but unfortunately we had to give it up, because when there's just two of you, if anything went wrong with me, we'd be stranded. Again, on the right-hand side, some of our friends down in Pustoina, they bought me this pair of shorts, so I had to go in the gents and put them on. Helicopter trip. We had a picture of Rozel having a kiss by the pilot, but somehow or other, it never came out. Developing Alzheimer's in 2007, short-term memory loss. What happened? I kept asking the same questions over and over again, such as what day is it, what time is it? It was on a visit to the doctor that Brian, my husband, explained to the doctor what was happening, and he did a few tests, and from that we had a referral for a brain scan with the specialists. Following the scan, I received an appointment to attend the clinic. And it was a big shock when they said I had Alzheimer's, because my husband and I, we didn't know what Alzheimer's was. And we were not advised as to what lay ahead. They prescribed medication and advised me that a follow-up appointment would be made, sent in the post. They did ask, have you any questions? But being stunned after being told that you have Alzheimer's, your mind just goes blank. How do you ask questions when you're being told you've got something you don't know nothing about? Very little change with the medication that had been given, but I began to notice changes such as I would ask Brian if he'd like a cup of tea, and he'd say, yes, please, love. That'd be nice. So off I'd go to the kitchen, but when I got there, I couldn't remember what I'd gone in there for. And perhaps 15 minutes later, I'd go back in the lounge, sit down, as if nothing had happened. And Brian didn't get his cup of tea. So he would get up and say to me, I'll make a cuppa, would you like one? I never questioned why I never got my cup of tea. After several visits to the clinic, we were told that I had the short-term memory loss. I was able to remember many things from my childhood, but trying to remember things that had just happened was becoming very difficult. Brian, who is also a trustee of the Jersey Alzheimer's Association, and I have been on television a number of times over the years, and by doing this we both hope that it will help to make people aware of Alzheimer's, and it's not the end of the world. I've had so much encouragement from Brian and from the Jersey Alzheimer's Association and from the European Working Group of People with Dementia. I hope to continue to work with the group in the future. In the past, our lives have been full of fun with outings, fishing, holidays and boating. When we went dancing, I could handle the flashing lights and the loud music, but now that's all gone. We both belong to a choir, the Jersey Island Singers, and singing is good for the brain, and I love it. although at times finding the music in the pages is quite difficult. It's rather funny, but I seem to remember the words of the music we are singing. But unfortunately, I've now stepped down from the choir because I'm finding it too difficult. There have been times when we've been on holiday and not been able to control myself, and Brian has had to step in to help to clean me up. And I'd be crying and telling him, you shouldn't have to be doing this. And he would say, if I had Alzheimer's, you'd be looking after me. And when we got married, we took on the role of caring for each other. A short time ago, I had a fall and broke my wrist and had to have an operation to reset it. At the moment, I am in a care home where I'm receiving great care, and Brian's having a rest. He comes to see me 3 times a day, and we go out for a drive and end up having an ice cream on the way back to the home. My journey is very much the same as a lot of other people. Brian would say, always remember the good times and forget the bad. Thank you for listening to my story.